people, how you doing? David Taub here, co-creator of Next Level Guitar. I have a killer lesson for you today on incorporating some open string licks and techniques and devices and how to create your own licks from scale fragments using open strings for lead guitar playing. I'm going to do this in like a rock kind of format, and I think you're really going to like this lesson, and lots of big name players have used these techniques. I mean, you'll hear guys like Alex Lifeson from Rush use them, or George Lynch, killer guitar player, or you'll even hear stuff like this on an AC/DC record. So it's a very common technique, but what I want you to pull out of this lesson most importantly is that I just don't want you to use this just for this lesson or just over these tracks or chords. You want to use this as a template and then take these devices and try them with some other scale patterns that you know. Try them in some other keys or over some other progressions and kind of assimilate these techniques into your lead guitar playing, and you'll find out that they could breathe new life and give you some really cool sounds, right? So let's get started. And if you'd like a free video lesson that's not on YouTube, just click in that text box below and I will send you a free video lesson and a coinciding ebook. Has tons of scales diagrammed out. You'll get to see all these out on paper, chord charts, all kinds of great lessons. I'll send it to you, the free video lesson, the free ebook. Just click on that link below. I'm playing over a jam track, which is in the key of E, and it's a very rock jam track. The chords I'm going to give you, and remember, it's always the chords that are going to give you the roadmap to what you can use solo and improvisation wise. It's the key is only a small part of it. It's really the chords, but it's just 4 chords and it's mainly power chords. So this is very wide open. It's E to a G to a D power chord to an A, kind of like a. So the power chords are really nice to play over because it's basically just 2-note chords, a root and a fifth. So it's very wide open. Remember, the more intervals that are in a certain chord, the more notes, it's going to shrink your soloing options because you'll have rubs off of those different notes. You have to be careful. But power chords in rock context, very wide open. So we're in the key of E, but we're going to be soloing a few great choices. One would be E minor pentatonic and blues. Sounds great over rock jams. Another one, we're going to be using a lot of the devices. We're going to be using the E natural minor or E Aeolian mode. So if you know some E natural minor scales, you're in. If not, no problem. Just think of it in terms of the relative major. Every minor scale has a major scale with exactly the same notes. The relative major. Every major scale has a minor scale with exactly the same notes. We're talking about major and relative minor. And the relative major of E minor is G major. So we're going to be playing in E minor, which is the same thing as G major or A Dorian or B Phrygian. It's all the same notes. Depends a lot on what note you're emphasizing. And we're going to be emphasizing, obviously, the E notes because we're in the key of E. And that's what we want to emphasize. We want that to sound like home bass. So in a second, I'll show you some G major or E minor scales. But the crux of this technique is we're going to use the open string, and we're going to be using the open E, the open B, the open G string to pull off the licks. And E minor is a great key to do this in because the notes in an E natural minor scale are E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D. So we have our open E is in there, our B is in there, our open G is in there, our open D is in there. You know, all the open strings are in there. You could use the B string too a lot. And so if you're playing in E minor or in G major or in any one of the modes, I mean, you could use these E minor licks and they're going to sound great. But certainly you could use this in some other keys too. You just have to be careful that the notes of the open strings are going to be, you know, within that scale or not sound too outside the scale, right? What I was doing a lot in the opening was I was taking those open strings and incorporating hammers and pulls, but pulling to the open string. I played a lick like that, and then I was doing things like this. Right? And then what I'm doing is I'm pulling off to the open string and going right up a scale. And that time I went right down the scale, and before I was kind of mixing up the notes. And you could mix them up, mix and match, do anything that your heart desires. But the whole trick is to learn the scale on one string. So let's first learn the G major scale on this high E string. And remember, the notes are E, then F sharp would be the 2nd fret, G is the 3rd fret, A is your 5th fret, B would be your 7th fret, C would be the 8th fret, D would be your 10th fret, E would be your 12th fret, F sharp 14, G 15. You can go so on and so forth, right? So on the one string, you want to get good at that back and forth. Get all that down, and then do the same thing on the B string. Learn a certain scale, one string going across. So on the B string, you'd have this. If we take it like from the 15th fret, right? And so on and so forth. So you want to learn those scales, one on each string. Okay, so I was playing a few shapes and then just going right down the shape like this. Okay, so all those shapes are is this. And I'll tab these out so you can see this. So here's a G major scale or E minor, whatever note you're emphasizing, but I'll show it to you from the 3rd fret on the low E string. Right? And then here's another one. I was connecting that to was you could play it at the 7th fret with your 1st finger, so like an E natural minor shape. Okay, and you had this piece of one here I was playing also. So if you connect those together, you kind of get this kind of sound. And that's kind of what I was doing in that one lick. And maybe let's count to make it easy for you. Let's count this lick in 7s. 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So get that first. And then pull off each one to the open string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pull down. Next note, pull down. Next note, pull down. Okay? Then go to the next 7, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you get this. Pull off open. So combine those two slow, you get this. Remember, we're counting 7 each time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then your last 7 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and end on that E note, 7th fret on the A string. So then it would be pulling off to the open A, and then open a low E. Here's the whole thing. Right? And you could do that. You could repeat some lines. Go back up, ascend, descend, mix up the order of them, right? But that's your basic framework, right? And the other lick I was doing on that high E string, again, I'm pulling off to that high E string. You might hear a lick like that, like in a Rush song, right? That's what it kind of sounds, something similar to me. But all I'm doing here is, again, I'm playing the notes in that scale, but what I'm doing is I'm playing one note, hammering to the second, and then pulling off open. So it's like a 4-note, each one is like a 4-note pattern. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4. Pick, hammer, pull, pull, open. So for instance, 10th fret, 12th fret hammer, 12th fret to 10 pull, and then you pull the 10th fret open. 1, 2, 3, 4. You just get the speed up. Then go to the next set of 2 notes descending, which would be 8th and 10th fret. Again, pick, hammer, pull, pull, open. Iron Maiden does this a lot too, right? You hear something like this melodically in an Iron Maiden tune. And then right down the scale. Awesome techniques. Now you could do this with any scale. right? As long as it's going to fit into the key of what the chord or the chord arrangement, the chord you're soloing over, or in the key of what you're soloing in, right? So you could use this for any scale, and it's a great lick technique. Let me play a little with the track, and I'll just throw those licks in there. Here we go. Here's the one on that high E string all the way down. Open with O high E. Mix the order up. Throw into B minor pentatonic. Right, now let's do the other one where we're going descending down those fragments of scales. Right, we can mix that one up too. See how I mixed that up, and now I'm throwing in minor pentatonic. See how I could throw that lick technique in there and mix it in with E minor, pentatonic, and blues. I threw in E natural minor, and I'm throwing in all those open strings off hammers and pulls, and using those techniques and devices to create some interest and do some different things. So try it over the jam track. Lay those 4 chords down. Or if you, that actually is a jam track that I have in my rock jam track CD collection. I'll put a link to it in the text box below if you want to check out my jam tracks. I got rock, blues, all kinds of different ones. You can check those out. I hope you enjoyed that. Be sure to go to our full-on video instructional website, nextlevelguitar.com. There's over 1,250 video lessons, beginners, intermediates, advanced, acoustic, electric, all genres of music. It's a 3-day free pass on the home page. It's awesome. Check it out. There's tons more great stuff there. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button. I'm David Taub, co-creator of nextlevelguitar.com. Swing for the fences. Go for it. Practice over jam tracks. It's so important, so critical to take what you're learning and apply it into a musical context, right? It all starts with the sounds. All right, I'll see you in the next lesson. Take care and keep on rocking.